are available, what are the different failure modes of the bolts are available, what are the different characteristics of the bolts, and what are the different geometry in terms of the which is called the shank area, which is called the threaded area, which is what is not, etc., etc. So from there we have been identified that what are the different failure modes for any typical bolted construction or bolted joint. Specifically, as we can see over there or recap from there itself, that typically there are 7 or 8 failure modes are being available, and which is also being presented in the last class. So typically there are shear failure of the bolt, shear failure of the plate, then bearing failure of the bolt, bearing failure of the plate, tensile failure, bolt and plate both, and the bending failure of the bolts. Okay, so and also we have seen that what are the different force transfer mechanisms available within the bolt, whether it is a single lap joint or whether it is a double cover lap joint or whether it is a butt joint, single cover butt joint or double cover butt joint. Okay, and all these things were available or discussed in the previous class. So we have ended up with this shear plane behavior, or whether the shear plane to be included in the failure mechanism or the design or not. That also we have been discussed, and also we have been said that how many failure planes to be accommodated in your design protocol and other related issues. Okay, so in some of the portions we have been saying that the threaded portions are not included within the failure mode. In some of the cases we have seen that during the failure, the threaded portions are also excluded. So keeping on the mind of whatever we have done in the last class, let us now configure, or let us now figure it out, that what are the different shear force distributions would be available on that particular bolted connections. Okay, so the first one typically is a shear connector or the shear connections, which is essentially what is this type of connection? This type of connection typically it is saying the lap joint. Okay, two plates are there, steel plates are there, and both the steel plates are connected together with a number of bolts or number of connectors, and both the plates are basically taking into account the tension in nature. So in general what happens is, if there is in general or in practice, if there is a number of bolts, in practical case it would be available or it would be jointed. So generally it has been assumed that equal size bolts share almost equally in transferring the external forces as shown in this particular figure B. And if there is any long joint, for example, if there is any long joint like this, too many number of bolts are attached together to make the entire connection, then what happens? The peripheral bolts or the extreme end of the bolts generally takes into account, obviously it is, you can understand from the physical governing physical behavior also, that it is accounting more or more number of or more amount of shear force than compared to the rest of the bolts with the or intermediate bolts, which is been available in the figure C. And all these distributions are generally been observed whenever there is only a elastic in behavior observed. If there is any plastic action comes into the figure, then the situation would be completely different. Okay, so then in the next issue, whatever the issue is there, the how do we do the classification of the different connections? Okay, even within the bolt itself. Okay, so sometimes people used to say that it is a bearing type of connection, and sometimes in the literature or report or in the textbook it has been mentioned that it is a friction type connection. Bearing type connection means slip is being allowed. Okay, and in the friction type connection, slip is not been allowed, or rather in other way around, it has been said that slip critical connections. So bearing type of connection generally occurs when we have the black bolt or the ordinary bolt. And friction type of connection occurs when we observe or we use the HSFG or the high strength friction grip, HSFG or high strength friction grip kind of bolt. Okay. However, in the high strength friction grip bolt are typically more computational, not computational, more your costing in terms of the economy. It is more cost than compared to the ordinary or black bolt. So this is these particular mechanisms or the differences are coming from the force transfer mechanism. Sometimes people observe that this particular classification of the connection also happens due to the type of force that is being available. Sometimes you will find the shear connections. Sometimes you will come across about the tension connection, sometimes tension and shear both. Okay. So the shear connection in predominantly in most of the bolted joints, you will find, suppose for example, in any lap joint or butt joint, you typically or predominantly find or observe that it is a shear connection or shear connectors. Where you can find the tension connection used to happen when there is any hanger kind of thing. Okay, there only the tension connection used to happen, because only one particular part, either the top or bottom of the flange of the I section, is connected to the tension connectors. And whatever the bolts are being specified over here, these two bolts are being considering or experiencing the tensile in nature of the behavior. Okay, there is a typical another one classification that is called the combination of the shear and tension. Combination of the shear and tension would be coming whenever we have this kind of bracket connection. Bracket connection means it is basically nothing but you will have a, let's say it is a column. This is a particular column, and within this column, typically if you have this kind of connections, if you have this kind of connection, this is a bolt, and over here your force is being acting over there, then you will find both the shear and tension both, as well as you will the column will experience the moment also. So it depends on the problem to problem. Everywhere it could not be unified, the connections. Now next thing is that this is very important about the bolt hole and the related details. What is meant with the bolt hole? Suppose for example, if I provide a 12 mm dia, 12-5 bolt, then how much would be the hole that is required to be in the plate to make the connection? Generally, it is also been available in the IS 800. Some of the specification has been provided. So if it is a 12 mm bolt, then you have to have at least 13 mm dia of the hole. And if it is having 14, then 15 mm dia. Now, beyond 18 or beyond 16 mm or beyond 14 mm, if you are going, sometimes 16 mm also they go with the 17 mm bolt, but in typically cases they used to, even at here also, they used to go +2 always mm diameter for the hole diameter. And above 36 mm dia, you obviously go with the +3 mm dia for the hole. So typically it used to happen something like that. The notation used to come something like that. This is the bolt diameter dB, and sometimes people used to say DH. H stands for the diameter of the hole. Okay. Now, what are these things? Edge distance and end distance. Edge distance and end distance are saying that, suppose for example, if you have any two particular plate which is being connected over here, then there must be certain, suppose for example, this kind of bolted connections are being there. Okay, so there must be certain edge distance from here to here. Otherwise, what would happen if this bolt is too close to the edge in one of the particular plate? This plate will tear off. or the bolt will get off from the connections. So there must have certain minimum edge distance. What is the end distance? End distance means it is the same thing, but it is applied on the perpendicular direction of the application of the load. So this is also edge distance, or you can say it is an end distance, and this is also edge distance or end distance. So edge distance and end distance are in a two-way. One is along the force on which the entire connection is being applied for the force, and end distance is across the force and or in a particular perpendicular direction, the amount of setback that used or that have to be provided to arrest this kind of unusual or catastrophic failure, like a plate failure or the bolt failure. Okay. So in the IS code, they have been specified certain limitations of this edge distance and certain limitation also on the end distance. So we'll be slowly going one by one. So maximum edge distance is being provided by using typically using a different formula, 12 T epsilon. Okay, what is epsilon? Epsilon is it at here square root of 250 divided by f of y, and T is your thickness of the thinner plate. If okay, I'll explain again. The Rahul is saying that please explain the edge distance and end distance, maybe in the plan view. Fantastic. Let's say Rahul, sorry. If I at here, let's consider this particular figure. Okay, I'll come back again. Let's say consider this figure. This particular plate, both the plates are connected together. I am providing a cover plate. This is on the plan, and I am providing a particular tensile force over here. Okay, and my bolts are being placed like this way. Okay, my bolts are being placed on this way. Now what happens from here to the end distance, one to this distance, from here to here, or sometimes you may refer from here to here also. This is called, not this one, this is called the edge distance. Okay, so the edge distance means it is the force is applied on the x direction. Edge distance means distance from the last bolt to the edge of the connected plate. It means the edge distance which is along the x direction or along the direction of the force. What is the end distance? End distance is also the same thing. From here to here, this is, let's say this is the plate end. So this is called the end distance. Okay, Rahul, is that okay? So with this, we'll go ahead with the other issues. That maximum edge distance, just to hold on, I think somebody again has said, okay, Rahul, fantastic, thank you for raising the question. Then what is the other things? Other things are there that you please understand first the terminologies that is being required. That is being required over here. So then next thing is the pitch. What is the pitch? Pitch means the distance between two set of bolts. Distance between two set of bolts are called the pitch. let's say for example, instead of this figure, if I write or if I draw some this figure, okay, and I am giving two rows of the rows of the bolts. So the pitch is at here. This is called pitch. The distance between the two set of bolts is called the pitch, which is again to be along the direction of the force. Distance between two set of bolts across the direction of the force or perpendicular to the direction of the force is called the gauge or gauge distance. Okay, so this is called pitch, gauge and gauge distance. So this is called pitch. Maximum pitch to be considered 32 T. T means, what is this T? T means thickness. Which thickness? If both the plates are equal, then we don't have any problem. If both the plates are not equal, if both the plates are having different thickness, then which thickness should we consider? We can consider the thickness of the thinner plate. Okay. Pitch, in general, the minimum would be this is the maximum pitch. Minimum pitch would be 2.5 times the nominal diameter of the bolt. We cannot place any arbitrarily way. Another one question comes. Mehul, is it not the end distance? Is it not the end distance along the direction of the applied force? Since the printed figure, it is shown that way. Is it not the end distance along the direction of the applied force? Are you considering this figure,
right.
Mehul?
As in the next one.
Or the other figure?
In the next one.
Is it this figure, Mehul?
So I think it hasn't switched in
Sorry.
my.
Is it this figure?
It is still not switched.
Or the next figure?
The next one where you drew the figure to
Okay.
explain Rahul.
Okay, right. Yes. Tell me what is the issue over here?
So I'm not able to see that figure. Yeah, here.
Now, are you able to see?
No, sir, it is still not clear. Just wait for 1 second, maybe it will be clear. It is showing all these pixels in my laptop.
Sorry, can you tell me the question once again?
Yes, sir. Here in the figure, if P, the load is being applied in X direction, then they have said that the end distance will be in the X direction, whereas the edge distance is in perpendicular direction. And
Okay.
I think you have drawn it vice versa.
Acha, I have drawn it in vice versa. Right. Okay. I'll just come back. Okay. Just hold on for a moment. I'll come back.
Yeah, sure.
So here, what it is being asked that. Okay, Rahul is having another one question. The one of the slide and what you draw is contradictory. In one of the slide and what you draw is contradictory. Okay, so you are saying that this is contradictory. This is edge distance and this one to be the end distance. This one to be the end and this one to be the edge. Okay. See, in general or in practical application, whether it is the end distance or edge distance, both are basically the purpose of both the things are same, and the value of both the edge distance and end distance are also same. Yes, I do agree with you that whatever the figure I have drawn over here, it is basically contradicting the figure which is been at here. Yes, that I do accept that contradiction. But in general, whatever the edge distance and the end distance, these are the two distances. These are the two distances from the end of, either way, from the end of the plate or the connected plate to the last row of the bolt. Okay, just to ensure that this is to be, there should not be any catastrophic failure, or there should not be any failure due to the searing failure of the bolt or searing failure of the plate. Yes, I again do agree with that. This becomes somewhat contradictory, and sometimes I do purposefully do that thing, because the fact is this edge distance and end distance, the basic idea was to provide you that it is actually the distance, end distance from one of the plate, connected plate, to the end of the last row of the bolt, or the centroid of the last row of the bolt, in either in the direction of the force or in the perpendicular direction of the force. Okay. Yes, that is incorrectly I have made the drawing. So now the pitch, whenever the pitch is coming, this is the minimum. Thanks, Megul. When we are having the pitch means the distance between two set of bolt row. Okay, or two set of sorry, I should not say it is a row. Again, if you are considering the row in terms of the matrix and all, you might find that row is something like this is the two row, but here it is being showing something like this way. I do not want to mean something like this. I mean that distance between two set of bolt, distance between these two on the direction of the force is called the pitch. There used to be a minimum pitch and there used to be a maximum pitch. The minimum pitch is 2.5 times of nominal diameter of the bolt, 2.5 times of the dB, and maximum pitch is 32 T or 300 mm. However, there are certain environment like a corrosive environment and all where this pitch may differ. Okay, this pitch, whatever the specified pitch is there, that may differ. And also certain other environment, whatever the edge distance maximum or minimum edge distance are also given, that also differ. In corrosive environment, the maximum pitch or maximum edge distance or end distance should not exceed, maximum edge distance or end distance in corrosive environment should not exceed 40 times T or some 350 mm, 40 times T, or let's say it is not going to something like that. The edge distance or end distance in a corrosive environment, let's configure in this way: 40 mm plus 40. Only you consider this part. Otherwise, you will be puzzled with this way. 40 times T, then minus, plus, again, many things are there. So in a corrosive environment, the edge distance or end distance should not be more than 40 mm plus 4 times of T. Now, while making the design of the steel structure, it is very important to consider that which particular thickness you are going to consider. If there is any dissimilar thickness of the structure is there. Okay, like if one is the thinner, another one is the thicker, then you have to judiciously choose whatever the thickness it is being specified. Okay, now in the next, this is the total guideline that is being saying by the IS 800. It is also been postulated in section 10.2. In section 10.2, it is being saying the same thing. Minimum pitch should not be less than 2.5 times of nominal diameter of the bolt. Not the 2.5 times of the whole diameter. Maximum pitch would be 16T or 200 mm, whichever is less for the tension member. And for the compression member, it is 12T or 200 mm. Edge distance similarly should not be greater than 12T epsilon, where epsilon is square root of this particular part. Okay, and minimum should not be less than 1.7 times of dB. Similarly, for the end distance also, end distance minimum and maximum, even though they are saying, but I generally, whenever we do the design in a practical life, we do consider again the same thing for the edge distance and end distance both to ease out the design difficulties. Because as we are going for the simpler, our life becomes very easy rather than complicating many things. Obviously, we have to judiciously choose the specified parameters also. Similarly, those are for the simple plated structure. Like two rectangular plates are connected. Now, for example, if I have a channel section, okay, or if I have some L section, then what would be there are many different edges would be there, or gauge distance would be there. Gauge 1, gauge 2, and gauge 3. Okay. Whenever we have this kind of section, specified section, then we must have to be placed. What is gauge distance means? We have to be place our bolt at here, at this particular position. And if we require second bolt, then we have to specify at here. And the third bolt we have to be specified at here. How it would be looking like? Let's say I have this kind of particular section which is being connecting. So here I will be providing two angle sections are there. This is one angle section, that is another one angle section. Two bolts I will be placing over here, and these two angle section, if it is being acting or placing or connecting another one plate, I will be placing another one bolt where the gauge distance at a distance G1 at here and at a distance G1 from here. So I cannot place at any place. This is my G2 and this should be and this should be my G3. Okay, so this is typically for different angle sections, where if you have a different, let's say for example, in this angle section, both the leg need not be the same. This leg, let's say this may be 200 mm, this leg may be 300 mm. So that is unequal leg angle. If both legs are same, then it is to be termed as equal leg angles. Okay. So all these things are necessary for our design. The next set of design protocol is to identify or to find it out the bolt strength. Let us first begin with bearing type of bolt. And it is also being, all these formulas and all related descriptions are given in IS 800 section 10.3. So what is the design protocol? Design protocol is VSB less than equal to VDSB. VSB means the factored shear force that is coming onto the particular connection. Factored shear force. What do we mean by the factored shear force? Factored shear force means, like for example, after providing 1.5 DL plus 1.5 LL, that 1.5, that factored force, it is coming over here, rather than the force that is coming for only the DL plus LL. Okay, or maybe the DL plus 0.9 DL plus 1.5 WL. So whenever we are placing the factor after making the analysis, after that analysis, whatever the shear force we will be getting, those are the factored shear force. So factored shear force would be less than or equal to the design strength of the bolt. This is called your design strength of the bolt. That is the protocol. Now, next issue is how to find it out, the design strength of the bolt. What are the way bolts fail? In a bearing type bolts fail. It may fail due to the shear. It may fail due to the bearing. So it may fail due to the shear. It may fail due to the bearing. So design shear strength of the bolt and design bearing strength of the bolt. Out of these two, whatever is the minimum one, that you have to consider the design strength of the bolt. And your factored shear force should be less than that one, because the factored shear force that is coming from after applying the load. After applying load, that means we are demanding that much amount of strength to be been there. But what is this means? VDSB. VDSB stands for that it is the inherent capacity. It is the inherent capacity of the strength which has been there. So if the demand is equal to capacity, then structure is safe. If the demand is less than capacity, then also the structure is been safe. If the demand is more than the capacity, then obviously structure will start failing. So how to define this design shear strength and how to define the design bearing strength? The next portion is coming. So find out the design bearing strength and design shear strength. We have to have certain nominal shear capacity and we have to have some nominal bearing capacity. After calculation of the nominal shear capacity, nominal shear capacity and nominal bearing. So after having this nominal shear and nominal bear, what we are going to find it out? Divide all the nominal shear by its factor of safety and nominal bearing divide by its factor of safety. You will get it, the design shear and design bearing. And the third portion that you have to find it out, the nominal or the design tensile capacity of the bolt also. So your ultimate goal would be to find it out for any bearing type of connection, bolted connection, is you have to find it out the shear capacity of the bolt, bearing capacity of the bolt and the tension capacity of the bolt. Convert those things, everything into a design strength or design capacity of the bolt. Find out the minimum one, take that value as granted and it should be less than your factored shear force. That is the end of the job. Okay, so how do we find it out? Let's go one by one. First, the shear capacity of the bolt. Nominal, VNSB stands for the nominal shear capacity of the bolt. Okay, there is a particular formula which is also been given in the code, 10.3 section 10.3. Okay, now what is this one? This is a particular formula already been given. Need not worry about that. Okay, where from this is coming? That is coming from different experimental results. Okay, this particular formula. Now, what are the component that is being available over here in this particular formula? FUB, NN, NS, ANB, ASB. Let's go one by one. What is FUB? FUB would be the ultimate tensile strength of the bolt. In the last class, I have shown you some table where it has been specified that if the bolt is having 4.6 grade of bolt, let's say 4.6 grade of black bolt, it is having its own ultimate tensile capacity, yield strength, and all. Okay, so from there, that table you have to identify that which particular capacity, ultimate tensile capacity. Also, before going to the make it, you have to identify whether it is a 4.6 grade of bolt or whether it is a 6.6 grade of bolt. Because depending on the grade of the bolt, your ultimate tensile strength will vary, even though all the things are being made with the steel. Okay. So the next, what is the next thing? Next thing is the NN. N suffix N. N suffix N means, see over here, number of shear plane that you have to identify with the thread which is intercepting the shear plane. Can you identify the previous figure? Over here, this figure, which is intercepting the shear plane. Okay, and another one is not intercepting the shear plane. Okay, so NN stands for the number of shear planes with the threads that is intercepting with the shear plane. So first you have to find it out how many shear planes should be there, and from there how many numbers that you can find it out. So essentially, typically it is saying that you have to identify the number of shear plane, nothing else. What is NS? NS is also the number of shear plane without thread. That means the number of shear plane that is achieving or that is going through the shank area, not the threaded area. Okay, so number of shear plane without thread means number of shear plane which is intercepting through the shank area. What is ANB? ANB stands for net shear area of the bolt at the thread. Net shear area of the bolt at the thread, which can be taken as the area corresponding the root diameter of the thread. Root diameter of the thread. Like for example, if I'm just giving you the example over here. Let's say, for example, 4.6 grade of bolt having the 12 mm dia. 12.5. Okay, so this 12.5 is having, what is the area? Shank area. Shank area would be pi by, or the 12 square. Shank area means this is the diameter of the bolt. Shank area means the area which is not in the threaded portion. This is called the total area or the net area. What is the shank area? What is the threaded area? What is the threaded area would be? Threaded area would be some percentage of this shank area. Sometimes for easiness of the design, it used to be considered 78 to 80% of shank area. Okay, 78 to 80%. After calculation, this VNSB, now the shear capacity of the bolt, then you are going to divide it with respect to the required factor of safety to convert it into a design shear strength of the bolt. Okay, is there any question till now? Any question? Okay, so after having this design shear strength, then we are going back over here. The design for the safety of the bolt, the factor shear should be less than this or greater than this. That you have to check it. This design or the nominal shear strength, or in another way around, the design shear strength would be less for a long joint. Long joint means, suppose I have one plate like the, if I have a one plate like this way, another one plate like this way, and there are too many number of bolts are being available over here, then sometimes it is called a long joint. The joint portion is very, very long. So there is also certain specifications. If the length of the joint LJ exceeds 15 times of the diameter of the bolt, in the direction of the force, then it is to be considered as the long joint. And for the long joint, the nominal shear strength or shear capacity are to be reduced to some extent. How much to be reduced will come. Similarly, for the larger grip length, what is meant by the grip length? You have seen the first figure. The grip length between the nut to the thread, whatever is there, that is called the grip length. Over the nut, here the nut is there. Here the that washer is there, and here the nut is there. So if this length exceeds 5 times of B exceeds 5 times of dB, that means diameter of the bolt, then it is called a large grip length. And if we have some packing plate also, packing plate means, suppose for example, what is meant by the packing plate? I can have, let's say I have this 12 mm, this is my 12 mm diameter of the plate, and I have another one plate which is having something like this way. This is a packing plate, this is a packing, and another one 10 mm diameter. So this, due to this packing, you will have again to reduce the design shear capacity. So how much to be reduced? All these things would be considered sequentially. So before going to that, how much to be reduced and all, let us again come back over here that the threads, the similar figure, threads are included in the shear plane. Threads are included in the shear plane. See, where would be the shear plane? Shear plane at here and shear plane at here. Threads are included. Here threads are excluded because only one shear plane is making it up. Obviously there would be a shear over here, but that shear would be different. Yes, another one question I am getting. Packing plate is one in the middle. Yes, packing plate can be made in a different way. Whatever you are saying, that is one of the configuration that is at the middle. But packing plate, say, let's say for example, when we do packaging, we do look into our conventional practice. When you do packaging, let's say for example, at some point we are providing some foam kind of material over there to make the entire. Suppose if you have a table, okay, if it has been resting on the ground, and if you look into that, one of the leg is not that it is not actually fitting with the ground, then what we do, we make a packing over there. Okay, suppose consider the same way, this leg is having an extended your extended leg. At the end of the leg, you have a plate, and that plate has to rest on the ground or on the floor. But the floor and the this one, there is some gap is there. So there you can adjust over there. In the figure here, what I intend to mean is this particular thing is 10 mm, this particular 10 mm, this particular thing is 12 mm. I just want to make a particular structure which overall length or overall dimension to be 24 mm. So I have to provide some packing in between. There is another way around we can provide the packing. I'll come back those things. Okay, when we discuss about this, how much would be the less for having the design, how much less to be provided for the design shear capacity or nominal shear capacity of the bolt due to this packing plate. We'll come back again and I'll show you that how much it is and how there are many different ways that can be placed. Okay, Kirat? Fine. So if we go to the next, so there would be, even though I have drawn over here, it seems to you that there would be there are two shear plane, but you can understand over here because already we have gone through this thing. Oh, this is too much irritating. If I have this lap joint, if I have this lap joint and if I have a bolt and over this lap joint one plate is there, then a hole is there, then on this plate one shear plane would be there, on the bottom the equal and opposite shear plane would be provided. So identically there is only one shear plane. Do not misunderstand that here I am providing two shear planes. Okay, because there would be essentially one shear plane. If we have something like this way, then definitely we will have two shear plane. So both the configurations are different from here to here. Here it would be two shear plane. So do not misunderstand over here whatever I am drawing. So the ultimate goal is to find it out or identify that here in this particular figure, the threads are being included, here the threads are not being included. And as the threads are having lesser area, it is having the much more prone to make the failure event occurs at here. If the shank area is being there, then it is a lesser chance to make the failure because of more area. And because of this more area, more amount of stress would be accommodated before reaching to its ultimate failure point. Okay. What is the next one? Should I close over here or continue? Because it may take some time. Now it is, I think, 3:55. Do you have any class? Anyone? Who is the seer? Okay, there is no response.
So we don't have any class, but so we don't have any class. Shall we continue in the next
this
class?
Particular thing, we are basically having the nominal shear capacity and not nominal shear capacity. We are having the shear factored shear force or the shear strength factored shear, which is to be less than or equal to nominal shear capacity of the bolt divided by the factor of safety. Okay, divide by the factor of safety, which gives me the VSB is less than equal to VD. D stands for the design shear strength. N stands for, if it is N SB, then it stands, this N stands for the nominal. Nominal divided by the factor of safety is giving you the design CR or design strength. Now, when we have this, this is much more generic, this is much more general, this one. What is that? This particular part kept as same. Only 3 parameters are being included over here: beta LJ, beta LG, and beta PKG. Okay, this is called beta LJ, beta LJ. This is called beta LG, and this is called beta PKG. Okay, so now this LJ, beta LJ means for the long joint. So for the long joint, you see, if you do not have any other factor, then this one to be unit over here. So if the long joint is been there, but if you do not have larger grip length and larger packing kind of thing, then you can simply ignore these two. If you have only the larger joint, then this is the typical formula by which you have to reduce the nominal shear strength. Okay, what is this LJ? LJ means the total length of the joint, total length of the joint. Okay, or it is being said the length of the joint. What is the distance? The distance between the first and last row of the bolted joint. First and last row of the bolted joint. Suppose in the plan, if it has been there, all these things are being on the plan I am providing. Okay, so which one to be? Should it be like this way, total? If I do the elevation, let's say if I do in the elevation, so from here, this centroid to this centroid, this total thing would be LG. If it is in between, if there is any other joints, things are there, then it would be accommodated accordingly. And D is your nominal diameter. What is beta LJ, LG? LG means larger grip length. For larger grip length, you will have different formula for utilizing that how much reduction of the nominal shear strength to be provided. Similarly, for if you have a packing plate or packing thickness, whoever has raised the question, will come back over here when we'll solve a particular problem to identify what is the effect of this packing plate. Okay, so for the time being, please consider this factor for reduction of the shear strength, nominal shear strength, and then later on when we go back to the problem solution, then we can discuss much more. Okay, so with this I'm just ending it off, because in the next something else will start. Okay, thank you very much.